Good morning, everybody. AJ, the CEO here. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank y'all for y'all's patience on last week. It was just what they call it. It was a bunch of tomfoolery that was going on last week, and rinse and repeat this week. But hey, we are here. Audio looks like it's good on this end. Please let me know if you're having any issues. But again, my name is AJ, the CEO. We try and come here every Friday as best as we possibly can to try and answer your media ministry questions. I don't know everything, folks, but hopefully the little bit that I do know can help steer you in a direction to get your stuff answered and all that other fun stuff. We got tons of people from all over the globe here that chime in, and I am very much appreciative of that. Very much appreciative of my YouTube members and Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for allowing me to do what I'm able to do. So let's go out here and let's holler at some people who are online. Anthony, what is going on? Good morning. Richard, good morning to you. Norm, good morning. Good morning. John, thank you very much and good morning. Marvin, good morning to you as well. Parker, hello, hello. Darius, what is going on? Lincoln, hello. Techie Tara, hello, hello. Mark, good morning to you. Streets of Destiny, hello, hello. G. Albert, hello, hello. I hope y'all are all doing well. It's my pedal. Come on. All right. So let's get the formalities out of the way. And where is my stuff at? All right. I think we got it now. I don't know. Tech issues, you just gotta love them. So just getting started again, folks. If you like what we do, I don't have sponsorships or anything on this channel. So if you like what we do, where we're trying to help media ministries excel in what they're doing, you can become a Patreon supporter or a YouTube member by clicking the join button below, or go to patreon.com/AJaytheCEO. Or you can always go to the emissionarygear.com website, get some gear there if you like, and everything that you get goes back to try and help out all the stuff that we do so we can pay for the tools, the new equipment, all this other fun stuff. Also, let me use this platform to shout out your people, folks. Our media teams are traditionally, unfortunately, to all the churches I've been to, most of the time, media ministries are the least celebrated people, but they have a lot of workload on them. So let me use this platform to try and shout out your team. Take a picture of your media ministry team. Send it to me at questions@ajhomes.com. Make the subject my media team. Tell me your church name, your location, all that fun stuff, and a picture of your team so I can shout them out and thank them globally for everything that they're doing in their local, in the local ministry, state, country, region, province, country, worldwide. Again, thank you also for those who are continuing to buy me book. My books on Amazon. So thank you so much for that. And we're getting closer, folks, to, let me go back to the other one. This is the promo that we got up there. Just excited about the E-Missionary Conference is coming up here July 18th and 19th. Had a bunch of stuff. Had to steer in a bunch of different directions, but I mean, we're still trying to get everything straight for y'all to make it a good shindig for y'all. We've had to reduce the amount of rooms. We had 6 rooms. Now we're down to 4. Still going to be able to do the stuff. We're probably going to just have multiple sessions going on at different times. But again, you can always still go to 4meconference.com to get registered, online, in person. We're still looking for teachers. And, you know, there's something that that you might not think is important, but is revolutionary to some other ministry. And this is a place, a conference to where we can share our knowledge, not just with our local church, but share that knowledge with everything. Because if we all move forward, we all move forward, if you understand what I mean. So like I said, teachers are needed, more teachers. We'd love to have a plethora of options for people to teach, whether you're in person or online. This conference is going to be in person as well, just like the other ones, but we're going to be online. But you can go to 4me.com. 4meconference.com, excuse me, go to teachers, register, and then we actually, with that being said, we have our first teachers meeting. We have a Zoom teachers meeting this Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you've registered, I've emailed that stuff, but if you are a new teacher, we'll get you information out there. We're going to just cover the basics, set up our schedules, when people want to teach, what their formal titles are for their classes and all this other stuff, get prepped for what equipment is needed and everything like that. And I think the last thing is for my travel. I am going to be in New Orleans for May 4th through the 10th. So if you're in that area, it's really meant to be a vacation, but I'm there. I'm traveling with some friends. So they're going to be working during the day. I'm going to be hanging out during the day. So if you're in that area and you want to meet up or something like that, want me to stop by your church and you're in that area, let me know. Email me and we can see what we can do to help you out. Folks, if I do not get a chance to get to your question, know that you can email me at questions@ajhomes.com. Give me 48 to 72 hours to respond. If you are not a part of the Facebook group, what are you doing, folks? Join the Facebook group. It's like this 24/7, where you have other people in media ministry doing the same thing you're doing from all over the world. trying to give some encouragement, have a place where you can actually talk, vent if you need to, and just know that you're in good company because the people in this group are exactly the same thing that you're doing. And that I lead into the fact that that's going into our bi-weekly roundtable that we have. All that information is posted here. For the Facebook group, just look up Modern Media Ministry Made Easy. Answer the 3 questions. Don't live stream inside the group. Don't try and spam it. And there you go. And I think that's about it. And I got people blowing up my text messages for whatever reason. What else? If me and you go back and forth a couple of times in email, I would highly recommend you just go ahead and set up a consultation so that way I have dedicated time to go through whatever issue that you got. We got phone, we got Zoom, we do on-sites, we do travel, folks. So you book that stuff and we go from there. I think that is about it. I think I've covered everything. Folks, get ready to answer your questions. Please start your question with a Q so it makes it easy for me to see it. And we will get, well, let me highlight some new folks that just joined on here. Brian Jones, hello, sir. G-Man, good morning to you. Kurt, good morning to you. David, good morning. Derek, hello. AJ too, hello. So, like I said, folks, start your stuff off with a Q and we will get started. And if I didn't get a chance to do the poll, if you don't mind, folks, to appease the algorithm so that these videos get out here, go ahead and make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't and you're wondering why you can't leave a comment, you have to be subscribed to actually leave comments on this. It's just to push down on the spam and all this other stuff. And make sure you have that bell notification on so that way you don't miss out on videos. And I haven't done this in a while. Most of y'all know, but we are, what's our number at right now? I think I took it down. Hold on. We're doing a giveaway like we always do. We've been doing it since like the second year of me doing this. And actually, I posted it. I've been on YouTube for 13 years. Wow. Didn't think it would been there that long. But we're at 68,708 subscribers. We are doing a giveaway every 10,000. So when we hit 70,000, we're going to give away 2 $1,000 bundles. And I might need to update the prices because of some interesting things that are changing in pricing and shipping, if you know what I mean. So I got to be mindful of that. I've noticed Brian kind of told me about some other stuff with the new ATEM and some other stuff. I've been noticing the supplies I get, the prices have changed. So we might need to make some concessions in here. I'm going to try and keep it to where I said it, but I don't control the markets. But anyway, there's a link down below if you want to be a part of that. Here's the link as well, too. That's down below, so you can enter. If you've already entered, don't worry about it because you're already in there. If you are a Patreon or YouTube member, I enter your name in twice as a way of saying thank you. And just last reminder, Patreon supporters and YouTube members, I posted a link for y'all that if you want to come to the conference, you can actually have a discounted rate for you to come. So that is a thank you again to Patreon and YouTube members. All right, so like I said, we started off with a Q, and then we go from there. And I see some other people that have popped in here. My sister jumped in here. Hello, Kathy. And I think that's it. So, like I said, start off with a Q, folks, so I can see your stuff, and we will go from there. John, do you have any experience with Unified Talk? Yes, I actually... Unified Talk is my main office number that I have here, and I've been using it for 4 years. Does it require a subscription? Yes, you do. You do need to use their phones. Now, when I got mine, I have one of the phones upstairs that they don't even offer anymore. And that phone was like $40, and it was such a deal. I don't know why they went away from it. But I'm going to go back to the rest of your questions here. For integrations, we got Talk right there. And they had a very simple phone. Like I have this one that's right here behind me for my fax machine. I've been using that for years. I have the G2. That's the one that I just showed you. This is sold out. And the G3 are the ones that I installed in Chicago and Elgin at First United Methodist. We didn't turn it on because we haven't had a chance to migrate everything over because of the tornado and all this other stuff like that. But everything is in place. When I go back up there, we're going to migrate, port the number over to that so they can do everything. But back to your question before I'm just rambling on. Let's see. Does it require a subscription? Yes, it does. Let me see. How much can I show you? Well, they don't have any issues with me showing that. This ain't YouTube don't own this. Facebook don't own this. Trying to make sure it doesn't show my number so that I don't get spammed with a whole bunch of stuff. All right, I think we're good. So here's the back panel of what I have that are coming in for the stuff that I am doing in my calls. You have to, they allow text messages, but you have to fill out some form to say how people can unsubscribe from you. So for whatever reason, they didn't like my answer. They're like, how do you, because I guess they want to stop people from spamming people. I don't send any messages from my SMS. All I do is tell people that we can't respond to text messages from this office number. But hold on, let me cut away real quick because I don't know the next thing is going to show up. Yeah, it won't let me show you that part without giving this number away. Hold on. All right, let's zoom in just a little bit. Maybe that'll work. So I've been paying for my service $9.99 for my office phone for 4 years. I normally have Google Voice for my cell phone for business, but they're all linked together here. So, you know, it's $9.99 per line. So you could have different lines and all this other stuff. So if you wanted to have somebody like for a church and have your own number for the pastor or whatever for your fax machine and all this other stuff, you could do that. But the way I like it, you can also, it's showing way too much stuff. Hold on. Let me see if I can put something here to block some of this stuff here. All right, so I can do it like this. So in here, you can also have people call in and you can build your own kind of like ratio of how stuff works. So when somebody calls in and it's not business hours, it goes directly to a voicemail. If it's business, you know, granted, it's just me for everything, but it does differently. So if you want to do sales, I can route it to different people. This is the same thing. If somebody pressed 3 and they want to send a fax, then it gets routed to that one. So a lot of cool stuff. And then, like I said, there's the SMS one that people will send stuff. And I normally send a message to tell people in the voicemail when they call, if you send a text, I can read it. I just can't respond back. But I don't know if that's more information that you wanted. And like I said, the only client that's actually tried to move forward with it is First United Methodist. I've done it and offered it to a whole bunch of other churches. But for whatever reason, they want to pay the monthly fee for renting the phones and the stuff. And if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. I hope that helps. But let me know if you have any other questions other than that. Come on now. Had to. Here you go. And let me make sure I'm not skipping somebody. I see Anthony had a question. Are you the next person? Yes, you are. Anthony, can you go over how to set up Unify for the Wi-Fi? I want to learn how to install it. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this. And I'm gonna do a video, and Elder Rob kind of told me about this. I've been playing around this with myself in my home lab, but I think it's really cool. But to show you, I actually installed the software client. This is how it used to be before they had their own equipment. You would set up your own Raspberry Pi, your own server or whatever. And this is how I started. And you downloaded the software and it would just run. So I have this set up right now, and you don't even need any software. I mean, any hardware, any equipment to do this. But we're just going to go through this in a test just to show you. So we'd set this up. Now, this is only the network controller. So I'll show you this, Anthony, and you can download this. Hold on, let me see if I can get the link for you so you can play around with it. Unify controller software. and I will put that in the chat. And again, it can run on any computer, and this is just a test. You can play around with this, and when you're done, you can download the config file, and when you get equipment, you can import it, so you're not wasting all your time. So I'll put that in the chat. Let's go to next. You would give it a name. You can link it to an account and all this other fun stuff. Let me turn you off for a half a second so I can log into my stuff so that it will show up with all my other clients and installs. Give me 1 second, because you know we do very encrypted passwords here, so I don't even remember what it is. Where's it at? Where's it at? There we go. Paste that in there. And we have two-factor authentication. So we need to log into that. They made an update, I think, in February of this year that you're going to have to do this for any Unify account. So we're starting this up. So here we go. We're in our native system. So his question was wanting to know how to set up your network. So I don't know if the software is going to do this, but normally what I do, you have to set up a network. So I'm just going to give an example. So say I normally do a default, and this is going to be for Wi-Fi. Actually, I'm in the wrong place. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. We need to set up a network. So that's the initial network they're going to give you. You can always change this to a different IP address. It won't let me change it because I'm actually connected to something. But this is most of the time when you get a router from your ISP, they're going to give you something. So you want to make sure that your stuff, your controller is not conflicting with that, because you will have some problems. So if your router that's coming from the ISP is giving you 192.168.1, you need to come in here and change that. So we're just going to, mine isn't doing that, so we'll do this. Now, the next thing I do is I make a guest network, and this is a VLAN, a virtual private network, so it's digitally something else is the easiest way of saying this. So I'll just name it 2. It doesn't really matter what number that you give it. And we want to assign it to, and it won't let me do it because of this. Normally I would come in, you know what, let me just show you mine, because this is being a little bit too problematic to try and go through this. Let's use First United Methodist. We'll use those, for example. So how I set them up, let's go to our settings. We're going to go to the networks. That's our default. And now I set up another network for guests, so it's on a completely different IP address range, and I isolate it so that they can't physically talk to each other. So you got that set up. That's your network. Now you set up a Wi-Fi. Each one of these access points can have up to 7 different Wi-Fi SSIDs on it. So we have secure. That's normally what I give out to all the administration. FUMC, that's the one that we normally give guests. I do have some Internet of Things. I think I might need to get rid of this. I think this was one that was made automatically for the digital signage or whatever. And this is one that I did recently for somebody there that's working that needs access to the state police. So you come in here, you would make a new one, and then I want to assign it to that range. So you can have a bunch of these and assign it. So I made a network that's guest that has restrictions on what they can do, where they can go to, and then I assign that Wi-Fi to that network. And once you do that, when somebody joins that network, that Wi-Fi, they're going to get this IP address range, which is restricted. And that's pretty much it. And then when you install some of these access points, because we still got 2 that are offline, because that's what's under construction there at the church. When you come in here, you can tell it, now they moved it. Where did they move it to? Hold on. You would set up your Wi-Fi stuff. Let me go back to this one. Yeah, here it was. You can assign which access point is actually getting it. So say, for example, you want to have somebody, you rent your church out to certain people, and they're only in the West Wing. something like that. You can put an access point there and say, hey, this one, I don't want this Wi-Fi to be available on every single access point. I only want it on one. So I can come in here and say, oh, I only want it accessible on the west access point. So if they try to connect to any of these other Wi-Fis, it won't work because it literally only exists on one. So you got a whole bunch of other features that you can do with this. For the most part, I leave all this stuff in auto. And the only thing you got to do, Anthony, is set up your network. And like I said, in here, it does a lot of this stuff for you. So if I go here to guest, see, I set the same thing, hotspot. I don't know why in the world it's doing that. That's not the issue there. I don't know why I did that, but you set your IP address. It can pick one for you, or that's the one that I picked. You can give it your range, so we can have 249 people connect without an issue. There's your VLAN like I did. You can isolate people, but since it's on a guest network, it's already going to do that anyway. So it'll keep so that if your computer is connected and you have a printer and I'm connected, I can't connect to your stuff. It isolates everybody. You can't see who's online. You can't interact with anybody on a network. I also have content filtering on the network so that if they go to any scandalous stuff, it won't allow them to do that. That's all for the guest network. So if I assign anything to the guest network, these are the rules that they go by. I can go a whole lot more deeper than that, but let me know. And did I just spit in the wind and I'm completely off of what you're asking? But let me know, and I can always redirect some more stuff if you need anything other than that. Lincoln, which Starlink plan do you get for churches that you installed, business plan or residential? Most of the time, I tell everybody that I install them and set it up as business. Now, honestly, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't matter. Business, when you do business, I mean, just like anything else, it gives them an opportunity to charge you more. So I'm not going to tell you it's not fraud or nothing like that. I always set people up, but then I tell them they can change it to whatever they want. I set them up on business. And then when they put their credit card information and they understand, because it's a month to month and it's not a yearly plan, they can change it to whatever. So I leave it at that. So yes, I typically always put them on business plan. G. Albert, I am doing okay. For some reason, you and this team came across my mind as we study Ephesians 6, 10 through 18. Put on the full armor of God. I'm praying for all the support. Well, thank you for that. Got a bunch of fun stuff, and I'm being sarcastic when I say fun stuff that's been going on. David, what type of TV brand do you suggest for display and confidence monitors? The one that's inside your budget, to be quite honest. TV brands don't matter anymore. At this point, the tech has gotten so good, unless they're just completely horrible, like, what is it? Not Westwood, Westinghouse. Like Westinghouse, they are horrible. I mean, they're terrible ones. But honestly, the TVs don't matter. And the reason why Westinghouse is horrible, their speakers are horrible. But again, if you're doing something for a confidence monitor and stage, you're not using audio. Unless you really have an affinity for the LG OS, the Samsung OS, the Sony OS, that's really all you're paying for. You're paying for the name and you're paying for the OS that runs the device. If you're just trying to display an image, almost all of these, you're not going to notice the difference, especially if you're going to do it for that. So honestly, I just go for the budget. Now, I personally stay away from Insignia and I stay away from Westinghouse. I typically go with TCL, Hisense, because they're significantly lower in price than all the other ones. If I can get a 65-inch TV for $330, but then Samsung or Sony is like $900, I mean, you can blow the extra $600 if you want to. When that TV is up on the wall, no one's going to care what brand it is. I mean, at least that's in practice. That's what I do. Derek, what is the best AI voice to use for announcements. I think I saw you do it on previous live stream while I was working. What are your recommendations? Process, start congregation. I mean, you just got to pick something that you play around with. I mean, I use 11 Labs. I have in the last couple of videos. Um, it must have been well because I've been using DaVinci Resolve 20 and no one has noticed anything. I've been using their AI stuff to balance the audio, do the backgrounds, do all this other stuff, and nothing has been notice it, noticed there. And I haven't played with the AI stuff yet in DaVinci Resolve, but what I typically use is 11 Labs. And in 11 Labs, and I've actually reduced my plan because I don't use this as much. But in here, you can create your own voice, and you literally give it. Let me route my audio through here so y'all can hear it. You can create your own voice. So say I want to like these are normally the voices I have. Like I had a middle-aged African American female with an alto voice, professional. Then I had some other ones, and you know you can type in and it'll generate some stuff. So this one kind of threw everybody off when I first used it. This is kind of like a middle age. I put a description of me, and my voice is nowhere close to this, but this is what it sounds like.
Greatness is not achieved by following the crowd, but by paving your own path. Greatness is not achieved by following the crowd, but by paving your own path.
So I used that one. Then I had Kione. I love that name because it was from Yuki, not Yu Yu Hakusho, but it was a Japanese cartoon I used to watch a long time ago, and I love that name. That's what I was gonna actually name my daughter at first, but her mom didn't like that name, so we went with Ayana. But anyway, I had this one.
No adult is without problems except a happy imbecile.
That's an interesting comment. But see, the voices, I pick stuff and just see how the crowd responds, the congregation responds to it. So here's another one I think I did.
Made up of some holy freaking atoms.
What?
Made up of some.
That was strange. But if you wanted to make a new one, so you can do a voice designer and you can come in here. You could clone your voice. I've not tried to clone my voice. So in a voice designer, you can come in here and you give it something. So I would say, let's actually mix up some stuff here. I was like, I'll use Chat GPT. Give me a prompt for 11 Labs for a 15-year-old I know I'm messing my spelling up. Australian girl. All right, so prompt Taylor for a 15-year-old. So that's not what I was. I don't even know if this will work, and that didn't give me the command I wanted. Let's see what it does. Generate voice. Yeah, so it's not liking that. So I'm gonna say young Australian girl with high alto voice. Violated. Huh? Australian girl? It didn't like young? I have no idea why in the world is. So I'll just use me. I have no idea what this is going on. Black male, 46, with a high tenor voice. And let's see what it generates.
The night air carried whispers of betrayal, thick as London fog. I adjusted my cufflinks. After all, even spies must maintain appearances, especially when the game is afoot.
Now, you can also say something with their style, casual speaking style. And let's see how that changes it. And each time you do this, it does use credits. So depending
The
on
night air carried whispers of betrayal, thick as London fog. I adjusted my cufflinks. After all, even spies must maintain appearances, especially when the game is afoot.
So if you like something like that, you can save it and give it your own type of thing. And then that's your voice that you can use. And normally when I was doing announcements, I would bounce between these three. I would start off with my natural voice for like welcome, and then I would transition over to this. But any of those work. And again, that's 11 Labs. That's the best one that I've used. And I think 11 Labs, it was like $10 a month or something like that. And that's what I was using. So I hope that helps. Let me see. Where else do we leave off? AJT. Have you had any experience with a dual projector system? Two projectors creating one image, pros and cons. As in, you're linking both of the projectors so that they overlap? Is that what your question is? If so, yes, that's initially what we did at TCF before they changed their mind and went to a digital wall. But let me know if that is what you're saying, and then we'll loop back to that. Michael, do you know of a good video management software for NAS? Need to catalog our church video recordings for easily identification and retrieval. Well, it all depends on the NAS, because some of the NASs, like Synology has one that you can add metadata so you can characterize that. The Ugreen hasn't really added new apps. They do have some other stuff, or you can do some secondary stuff. So like Picasa, Picasa, Google had that. They don't make that anymore, but you can download it, the sunset version, and it does do characterizations and catalogs and identifies stuff like that. And it can just point at whatever drive in order organize that. That's what I use for all the pictures, because I don't like how they've done a lot of stuff with how they characterize and set up some stuff. But let me see. I'll reference mine just for half a second. So like this is the Picasa that I use 3, and where it's sorted out my trip to Mexico and vacations and all this other stuff like that. So yes, it's organized that. It can group it by people, locations. I can add different metadata on it, and that still works for me, and that's been the best thing. I have no idea why in the world they got rid of that, but that's what I use, and that's pointing at my NAS where all my images are, and it keeps everything organized for me, and I can do all of my data and stuff like that, and it works great for me. And that's Picasa. Again, Google doesn't make it anymore, but they do have it available. Download it as a sunset. Back to John. Do you know how Unified Talk compares to Magic Jack? Oh, it blows Magic Jack out of the water. Magic Jack actually, I think, is a little bit more expensive. Magic Jack used to be pretty cheap, because I remember it suggesting Magic Jack for a long time back in the day. But if I go over here to Magic Jack, and let me break out my calculator so I can actually be right with my calculations. So Magic Jack is going for like $43 a month. But again, Magic Jack, unless they've done something new that I'm not aware of, you got to pay for each one of those and have unlimited calls using your high-speed internet connection. Let's look at the overview, because it's been a minute. Because I remember the one where you can get it from Walmart, you plug it in the wall, and you have your own type of thing. So yeah, you still would need one of these for each phone that you got. Now, the difference with the Unified Talk, you can add as many phones as you want. Say like at United Methodist, we only have one line coming to there, but then Unified Talk lets you use all those phones, kind of like you can have intercoms, you can bridge people in, you can do all this other stuff, and you don't have to buy a line for each one. So like if I never turned on Unified Talk, I can still have all the phones and they can talk to each other, intercom and conference and all that stuff inside the building of where you're using it from. And you don't have to pay for an subscription at all. The subscription is for you to use the SIP protocol so that the phone can bridge to the network and make external calls. So yeah, so even if you got that, that's going to come out to around like $3.58 a month based on that $43 plan. And yeah, you have unlimited calls, but just I mean, again, I would have to do a whole lot of more research. I might be just talking without really factually knowing everything here. But just from the picture here, it looks like you need one of these for each phone. And it looks like you can only take one call. So with Unified Talk, you can add as many numbers as you want. So if I had another number here, I could have somebody call here and allow as many lines to come in and different telephone numbers to go, and I can route to other people and all this other fun stuff. So that's just my personal opinion. But I have to look more into Magic Jack. That's what I originally. Now I'm dating myself. I remember when that came out, that was my option. For some people when they didn't have broadband internet to have a secondary phone line when they were doing some other stuff. I mean, no, excuse me, to add a telephone line. I'm mixing up two things, but I remember I was going to use that back in the day for another phone line for like a fax machine and stuff like that. That's the only time I've ever used that. Aaron is here. How are you doing? I saw your last video. For the lower thirds, you use two inputs with the key and field. I can walk you through. No, thank you for that. I've done it that way as well too. But the way I've done it through there, it's sending through both, so I don't have to separate it. But yeah, it's the same way that you could split and send a signal. I just don't do it that way. But thank you for that, Isaac. How do you feel about? I hit the wrong button on my pedal here. How do you feel about streaming directly from ProPresenter 7 or streaming from ATEM Mini better? I do not stream from ProPresenter 7 because ProPresenter 7, as good as it is still buggy as all get out. And I'm not trying to have it do my slides and presentations and live stream on top of it when it sometimes crashes just from presenting. I'd rather just lose my scripture and lyrics on the wall than lose my scripture lyrics on the wall and my live stream. That's me personally. Even right now, the computer I'm in front of right now has more than enough power to do all of this stuff. And I need to turn this off so I can actually do what I was getting ready to show you. What's that? 93. Let me turn off my tracking so I can actually control that camera. And tracking, turn off. All right. So this computer that I'm in front of can do everything that I'm doing right now, and presentation is more than fast enough. But if this whole thing crashes, I lose everything. Y'all wouldn't be able to see anything, and I wouldn't want to do that. So I have one system over here that's on the floor that is streaming right there. That's going to Twitch, and that's going to my website. But then the one that's doing all the graphics and everything like that with vMix, that is that one right there. So, and each one of these computers are just as fast to be able to do all of this. But again, if you lose one thing, if one computer goes down, you lose everything. So personally, that's why I never, ever, 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 even if a church is on a budget, I do not recommend running everything off of one system. If they say that they insist on doing it, I was like, now I'm just installing what you, and the customer's always right. I'll do what you say, even though I don't agree with it, and I'll do what you say, and I'll install it that way. But I've had a bunch of people that are not happy with the results. But that's just personal. So in that scenario, no, I would not live stream through ProPresenter 7. I let the ATEM do it. Or I have the ATEM send off to another computer and use like one of these $250 mini PCs that is more than powerful enough, run OBS on that and let that stream. Hunter, at the conference, will it talk about things with audio, video, and presentations? Yes, it will. It will also talking about leadership, also talking about building a team, also talks about what ministries who are not ministers and pastors and churches who are against technology, how to embrace that stuff, or it's not just for technical stuff. We hope to have more people to teach. Like last year, we had people that talked about audio engineering, how to make a good mix for your live stream. We've had other people do video and stuff in presentations. I know Dominic is teaching a class on Worship Tools Presenter. I'm still reaching out to see if I have someone that was going to teach on Pro Presenter. I'm teaching on having your own television network, how to make different content that's applicable for ministry. And I'm also teaching on Bible trivia. We're going to have a game show for that. So the people that are in person and online, we're going to have a blast. Mainly the people in person. It's going to be fun, very sour, maybe even hot consequences to that. But then also teaching about the anatomy of a live stream, how to cut out the fluff out of your service and make bingeable content. So we're going to talk about a lot of stuff there. So I hope that helps you. Mom's video. We all ask question about tech, but how are you spiritually, mentally, and physically? Drained, if you really want me to be honest. Spiritually, mentally, physically drained. The reason why I do this, and I normally cover this stuff when we go into our roundtable, because this is where we can be candid and talk about some other stuff. I enjoy what I'm doing, but for those biblical scholars out there, I've had recent moments like John the Baptist saying, like, are you who you say you are? Am I really doing this for the right reason? Am I doing this? And stuff like that, because it gets frustrating when all you try to do is help and people only see the negative of what you're doing. So that's mentally draining. Physically, you know, I ain't as young as I used to be. I'm still in good shape, but it gets tiring climbing up and do the stuff. Spiritually, still trying to find a place to where I don't have to work and I can get poured into. I've prayed for directions about that. Still trying to hear clearly what directions to that. So that's me being very transparent with y'all. You do so much, and I just wanted to check on you. There are no words for me to tell you how much I appreciate that. So let's move on before I start sweating. But thank you. I need to transition from Casper Password Manager. I'm thinking about using the new Apple Password Manager. I was going to say, heck no, don't. They've had a bunch of compromised stuff. I think they're too busy trying to innovate and they're not getting their stuff straight. But I heard it's too new and have a few holes. Yeah, very much so. No, I would rather lean towards Google Password Manager, or I used to use Password Safe. That's actually still good, but I haven't used that in such a long time. And they don't have a phone version last time I checked. This is what I used to use, and it was completely online. And if you mess up, because it has 3 passwords, so you have your main password, then it has an encryption key, then it's another one. And they don't have any clue how to return and get access to anything if you messed up and forgot your password. So it's so secure that they don't even know how to get your stuff. If you misplace your 3 keys, you are out. So I'm gonna cut over and just see if I can even still log into mine. All right, so like I logged in, and then here's the second level of password. So all of my stuff, you got your password to get in, you have another password, and then you have a decryption key that you need to get into all your stuff. This is what I was using when I was working at AJaytheCEO, and I was a software implementation technician when I was doing stuff and installing their software for clients like Toys R Us, MetLife, Verizon, GSA, Giant Eagle, Deloitte, KPMG. Those were the clients I used to service. So in here, I had all their passwords here. So these are the passwords, and they're all encrypted. And if I don't remember what this password is, none of this stuff is going to come out. So that's what I used to use. And that's obviously is still working very good. And like I said, I don't even remember my password in here to decrypt it. So like right here, I don't remember it. Thankfully, I already offloaded all those passwords. And when I did remember all this stuff, but I'll probably remember it later on. But that's what I've used before. Derek, the church I joined did a tech upgrade as I joined. We're moving from a mini extreme ISO to a 1ME constellation. They did HDMI over Ethernet. Do you ripping that out? Do you recommend ripping that out and going with 12 gig SDI to the cams? Well, I mean, 12 gig is only going to be beneficial if you have 4K cameras. And is that a 4K constellation? If not, yeah, you're future proofing yourself a little bit, I guess. But personally, the fact that you can get fiber optic HDMI cables that are significantly cheaper than HDMI over Ethernet, I would do that more than go with SDI. But the constellation only has SDI connection. So yeah, I wouldn't say you necessarily have to go with 12G, but that's your choice if you want to future proof it. So yes, I would agree with that. What do you think about Free Show? It's okay. I think the interface needs to be updated. It looks like it's a Windows 95 program, but besides that, I mean, it's fine. No, I will not clone my voice. Actually, I tried to, and you have to submit so much identification that I'm like, I'm not sending you my driver's license and my passport to verify who I am. No, I'm not doing that. Samuel Andrew Williams. Good morning, everyone. What's the best way to pull audio from my mixer for a broadcast mix for my live stream using an ATEM Mini SDI Pro? Do I need a DAW? No, you don't need a DAW unless you really want to. And I need a cable so I can hook this up so you can actually see. Hold on a second. I'm going to try and use the shorter HDMI cable that I have right now so I can use my phone because I don't have anything else set up so that I can use this. Mirror display, Blackmagic camera. All right, so let's cut over to the Blackmagic here. So for me, to your question, I didn't do a review of this. And why is my... No, I want... Oh, okay. They'll do it that way. So this is the XR16 that I got originally for it to be a portable audio mixer for me when I do traveling, and I hooked this up. This was really meant when I was going to do the North Carolina notary conference, but they're going to do it themselves this year, so I bought this for no reason. Not for that, so I'll use it for something else. But for me, as you can see right there, hopefully, and I have a short cable here, so right there, I have my audio out coming out into that, and that is routed right there into my ATEM, that middle, this last cable. That's honestly the easiest way to bring audio. You don't necessarily need a DAW. The DAW is if you're going to do a whole lot of different audio processing and all this other stuff to do something completely separate. I know, like Otis, if he joins on here, I think he does that at his church. I don't, because I don't have enough people. I actually had somebody asking the other day about why was the live stream audio bad, and I'm like, it was bad because no one's monitoring it. No matter what you got, you don't necessarily need another mixer. You can have another mixer. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but the idea is no matter what you're doing, you need somebody to manage it so that they're mixing separately for the live stream. But to your question, again, it was like, what's the best way to pull audio? I just pull off of an aux off of the board, because most mixers will have a secondary aux, a monitor out, or something, whatever they call it. It's the same thing. It's a mix, and I make a separate live stream mix that's just for the live stream, and somebody else in headphones is now connected to the ATEM in my example, because that's getting that mix. Other people have, if they have a second board, somebody has a headphone, or like the church down in North Carolina, they've cloned every single input and they have two separate boards, and it's somebody in a separate room with headphones mixing solely for the live stream. And like I said, I've had other people that they send it to a DAW. I think Pastor Brandon is doing that. They send everything from their X32 to a DAW and they do some compression or something else like that, and then send it on to their live stream. So you don't have to. You could. You don't have to. I just use the current board, make a separate mix, run it, and then have somebody monitor that. You could do a matrix so nobody has to monitor it like that. I don't like doing that, but you don't have to. You could just run from the board. If you have a mix that's available, run it directly into your ATEM, and you'll be good. AJT, so depending on the software that you're using, I know ProPresenter has it built in that it does the overlap. The projectors that I did at TCF, they had the feature built in themselves. So I sent the image, the same image, to both projectors, and the projector itself had software that split the image. ProPresenter, you could do the same thing. You have to design it inside of ProPresenter to do that. But what software are you using? And again, I can't really do that here since I don't have the screens to do that, but I can try and at least point you in a direction to do that. But I need to know what software to use. The Living the Life show. I have two PTZ cameras that I am plugging into the ATEM. What's the best way to bring the soundboard into the stream? Connected directly to your mic 1 or mic 2 in on your ATEM. That's kind of like the same thing I had from here. This XR, I had the audio coming out from the main. I just plugged it directly into mic 1, set the ATEM to be a line feed, and that's the best way to bring it in. But you have a follow-up. If I have two computers, can I have both display on the projector so I can have scripture show up from one and then switch to the camera feed for the speaker on the large screen like a Jumbotron? If I have two computers, can I have both displayed on the projector? Both at the same time, or one or another? If you have it connected to your ATEM is going to determine which one that you go at the time. Let me know if make sure I'm clear what you're asking. Do you want both of them to show at the same time or something different? Thank you for that. John, I appreciate what you do for all of us. I'm sure most here, if not all, appreciate you as well. Thank you for leading out and being so willing to share your knowledge. Hey, you're welcome. I try and do what we can. Derek, yes, we have 4K cameras and a 4K constellation, a 4K wall. Yes, then I would say yes, switch out to that 12G and get away from the HDMI to Ethernet converters. Pseudo 64, NDI HX2 versus HX3. When I switched our new AV cans to HX3, it seemed to be pretty blurry. Kind of wish it had just straight NDI or HX. I haven't really played around with that one. I don't think I haven't. Hold on. Let me make sure what I'm talking about before I open my mouth. Kind of remember if I. So the one over here, overhead, that one is not that model. So I am not sure. That one actually, I don't believe has NDI on it as well too. I have not noticed any issues, but again, most of the time I never install these to use NDI for the function that I've installed them. So I can't really speak to that. And the one that I have overhead does not even have NDI in it. So I can't really adjust and talk about that. But that's strange. I might have to see about that. Did you look on the website to see if there was a firmware update, if that's an issue that people are experiencing? I would look to that and see if that improves, if that's available. Mike, hello, sir. Hey, and you are welcome, and thank you. Back to G-Man. Do they have ATEM software for a tablet? No, they do not directly make any, but I've used Meta. That's what I've used for quite a while. That actually supports that, and when I have had to play and do the work of about 18 people, that's what I used to use. So I mean, it doesn't show the output, but that's the Meta app that I would put on my phone, on my Android tablet. They have that same app, works on iPhone. This is the free one. They do have a paid one that gives you more functions. And that's what I would normally use to switch cameras. This just allows me to switch cameras. It won't let me turn on DSK or nothing like that. The paid one, I think, is like $9 unless it's changed, will give you that ability to do that. So sometimes when I come to a church that I've set up and I've set their Wi-Fi up, if I need to, I log into this. Or back in the day when no one was paying attention and we need to cut over to a camera, I would pull out my phone and switch it there. As long as you have the IP address and all that stuff, that will work. Sorry, it said my phone was about ready to die, so I had to plug it in there. Hey, you are welcome. And that is ProPresenter. So let me see. Can we see what we can do with this? Because I have my ProPresenter in here. And we go to screens, configurations. I don't know if it'll let me do this as an NDI one or not. So normally you would do it, you would do your alignments here. You have to give your dimensions and everything like that. So like here, each one of these would be a part of the overall, 1080p. You would make it the size that you want, and you would put the size that you do, and then it would put up a pattern to where you can align your stuff, and it would chop it up like that. Personally, when I did do this, this is where I would use the like technically you should be able to do it with different monitors. So like I have 3 monitors right now, but if I did it, I wouldn't be able to see what we're doing right now. So I might have to come back and play with that one here. And you would identify that, set up the screen size and all this other stuff, and you would split it. So as you can see, it changed my dimensions here. So if I go back to full, see, it takes that whole thing. So if I had that and say I have 3 monitors that are making this up, or you can do custom, you would put it here. You would have to make each one your output of what's going to which layout and all this other stuff. Most of the time, what was that? Not the ATI, because AMD bought them. Was it Maxwell or Matrox? It's one device that will actually interacts with ProPresenter. My phone's getting blown up. I lost track of it. So in here, so you set your dimensions, and then it would go through, and I guess you have to make a different screen and you assign each one. So it would be your output that will compensate for each one. So if you have 3 screens, 3 outputs, you would pick, hey, my screen, the conference clock, or let's see if we can actually do it. So I would make a new, I wonder if NDI would let me do it. So I'd make a new one. Say I'm using a 4K output right here. And then I want that to be a 1x3. And then we got to assign which one of these screens is handling each part of that. And then it will put the image. It should do some alignment there so you can show where they have to be overlapped, and it'll be work like that. I think that's it. When I don't have to use all of my screens, I will go back behind this and play around with this. But it's really straightforward from here. Now, like I said, what I did, the projectors I used had it built in, so I didn't have to do nothing in ProPresenter. I just sent the image. In the projector, it said, how many projectors do you have linked together? It detected all 3. What is number 1? What's number 2? It asked for the placement, and then it cut up all the images and sent it between the projectors. I had to daisy chain each projector to itself. So the first one would process the image, chop it up, send it to the next, send it to the next, and it did it that way. So either one of those work. But like I said, I need to play around with that and see. Back to the Living in the Life show. Now at the same time, yeah, your ATEM would be your best option for that, because that would be a switcher that you could put back up to do switch in between them, just like I'm using right now. I got 3 screens that are connected here and my camera, so I'm just picking whatever at the time, and I need to turn my picture off. I don't want that back up so that it can do that. That would be the easiest way to do that. But I would need to know your full setup so I can actually know exactly, and I can draw out a design of how that would work. David, you are welcome. That's a good point, and I've not checked the firmware. Got up and going. Okay, sweet. Which app are you talking about? Are you talking about my phone when I brought my phone up? Because that's the Blackmagic camera app, if that's what you were talking about. Hey, AJ, have you seen the new ATEM Extreme ISO, the G2? Yes, I have. And I wanted to get one. And originally, again, y'all know we don't talk about politics here. But in the time that I looked on it, when Blackmagic announced it, they said it was going to be $19.95. And in that period of time, it has jumped up by $200 because Blackmagic is out of Australia, and they added some tariffs on top of that to compensate. And even if you go to Blackmagic's website, I don't know if the new one is up here yet. Yes, it is. And they changed the price. So let me go to the last page. And they've added a note on here. Where did I see it? They added a note in here saying that the price change was included tariffs and all this other stuff like that. So, yeah, that kind of held me off on getting that, because that's $19.95. I mean, that was a bit much, but you know, I'll do that just for y'all to see. But for it to jump up by another $200, that kind of messed me up. And I don't know. I saw that message the other day, and that's what caught me off guard, that they actually had it on here calling that out. But I mean, for that to jump in price, because I remember they announced it as $19.95. So yeah, I want to get it, but I don't know. I'm short. That's a little shy of getting the 6K camera. So I don't know. We're not buying a lot of stuff recently. Let's see. So the desktop has Easy Worship installed, and I put the scriptures and graphics from there. The live stream goes through the Mac Mini. I want to be able to switch between the two on the projector. Okay. So in that setup, let me bring up draw.io. And I say that now, I have, like, every time when I talk about these designs, I'll have somebody say, hey, what software are you using? I'm like, well, I always say I'm using draw.io. So let me bring this up so I can remember what you got. So you said you got a Computron. Boom. And I'll just do another one for a Mac just to make it easy. So you say that you got, this is Easy Worship, and then this is Mac Mini, and that's streaming. And you're saying the live stream goes to the Mac Mini. I want to be able to switch between the two. So, I mean, it's a couple of things that you could do. I don't know what streaming software that you're using, but I believe, well, it doesn't matter if the application supports it or not, because we've done a video showing how you can link this through NDI. So I'm just going to say this linking is either physical or NDI to do this. So I'll just say this is, somehow this is linked here NDI, physical, capture card, or whatever. One thing you could do is if you're running OBS, you can do scenes, and then for your output, let me do as a projector, that'll make it easier for an icon. In here, you connect that here, and then your streaming software will determine, hey, you're bringing in this, you send the camera here. So I'm assuming that the camera is connected to the Mac. Let's do that here. That's connected here in whichever way. And the Mac is going to determine which one do you see that is going to the projector. That's the easiest way to do that. Or I thought you said you had an ATEM, so I could be mistaken with that. If you had that, you would just connect the camera here, connect that here, and connect that here. And then your ATEM is the one that is now sending the signal out to the projector. And then whatever button you press, kind of like what I'm doing right now, is what's going to go out. So let me know if I oversimplify that or there's something that I'm missing. That would be the easiest way. You could do it through software, depending on whatever program that you're using to handle your stream. Or if you have a switcher, you can use that, and that's the one that would do that. G. Albert, I'm interested in utilizing a trivia game for our Bible study and youth ministry. Could you recommend any game workflows that allow Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube participants to participate? I would reference you to go back and look at my video of when I set that up. And then I actually did a live stream Bible trivia online where I interacted with people. So I would say one thing from what you said, I wouldn't try and do all of those at the same time because you're going to inundate yourself with way too much stuff. Facebook and YouTube might be easier because you could use like OBS or Prism Live that can integrate the responses from Facebook and YouTube at the same time and allow you to send from one place to both of them. If you're trying to do Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube, now you have to look at 3 different streams for when somebody's answering and respond back at the same time. I personally think that's too much. So like when I do the Bible trivia that's going to go on at the conference, it's going to be, I'm going to have a screen that's up for me to see who's in the conference answering questions that are online to people who aren't physically there, but then I have the people that are physically there. So I really only got to manage one screen. Doing all of that, you would have to manage 3 screens at the same time as running the questions. So that sounds like a bit much. But if you want to see what I did, like I said, that's what I have. I have other videos where I did that. And I'm going to do an updated one as well, because at least for the conference, we're going to be doing the same typical stuff like we do, like answering questions. And I'll even give you a scoop into some of the stuff that we did. Where is it at? So I used to pose some questions on here to some of y'all about some of these fun things. So let me give you a rough example of kind of the same way of how this would work. Let me get my background here. Y'all aren't going to hear the music because I have that turned off in here. But we would come in here. I'd have a round 3, and I'll fire this away. You know what? Let's take a moment here, and what I'm going to do, whoever has the most answers right, you'll get a free admission online entrance into the conference. How about that? All right, so this is how I normally would do it. And I have this screen up, and I have the comments like I'm doing right now. So if I come out here so y'all can see, I have the comments here. That's what I'm monitoring. I got this output that's going out. That's what I'm doing. That is my setup. I don't make it any more complicated than that because then I would have, now granted, this is centralized. I can see everybody's comments coming into here. So if I was doing this through like vMix, I'm seeing YouTube and Facebook at the same time here. Zoom can't be integrated into this unless they've done something new that I'm not aware of. So again, let me post it out to y'all. I'm gonna get some questions to y'all, see if y'all can do some of this stuff. There's only 4 questions. So here's your example. You got 20 seconds of how I'm gonna keep each question up. What proportion of his goods did Zacchaeus give away to the poor? So normally I have some intense music, heartbeat stuff makes people feel rushed. That's how you get some stuff. So a few more seconds, and now it goes to the second question. In the parable of the sower, what happened to the seed that fell on the path? And I'm looking at the comments to see how y'all doing. In the parable of the sower, what happened to the seed that fell on the path? And I leave the question up for 20 seconds. Then it goes to the next one. Who said, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill to men"? Who said that? Well, I'll give you a hint. What group of people said that? What group said that? Let me say it that way. Last one. In which town did Martha and Mary live? All right. So again, I'm looking at the comments right now to see how stuff is responded. And then typically this is built in. I have it automatically go. So this, when we talked about the last video of how many displays are going on, I normally have that up. So the display that's facing the contestants, they see the same thing that y'all just saw. And then I have them on a stage display. So the stage display that's at the back of the church, they just see nothing but the question. Everybody online sees what you just saw with the graphics and all this other stuff. Everybody in the sanctuary who is in the audience is seeing the graphics of what the questions are. But then when the answers come up, I see something completely different. So let's see what y'all got. So we seeing some people in here. All right, so we got a few stuff in here. So let's go back. So we got a couple of people in here. So if you're not live, you missed it. All right, so let's go to question number 1. What portion of his goods did Zacchaeus give away to the poor? And the answer is half. And that's based on Luke 19:8. And then this is the learning experience. Then we can pull up the scripture right behind it to show from a teaching standpoint. All right. The next question. So it doesn't look like anybody got the half one. So nobody got number 1. All right, let's go to number 2. In the parable of the sower, what happened to the seed that fell on the path? We got Michael said trampled on. Tangela said sprung up. Oh, I'm sorry, Samuel, you actually did say half. So Samuel had that one right. So my apologies. See how hard that is? I'm looking at it right here, and I overlooked that. So we got Samuel got 1. He's the only one that got question number 1 right. The second one was like, what happened? We got Michael said trampled on. Tangela said sprung up. Now, at the church, we're not going to allow people to use the Bible. So you can't look it up or nothing like that. So that's why I only have it at 20 seconds. We have Richard said withered and died. Samuel said it's gotten eaten by birds. And the answer is eaten by birds, Matthew 13:4. So Samuel is on 2 for 4 right now. Next question. Who said, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill to men"? Michael said angels. Base Chapel Sermon Archive said angels. Samuel says angels. And pretty much all of y'all are right. It is angels that said that. Luke chapter 2, verses 13-14. And then the last question. In which town did Martha and Mary live? We have Nazareth by Tangela. Michael got Bethlehem. What else do we got? So that's all we got so far. No one's got that one. And let me vet this one, because it was a long time since I did this one. I made these questions. Let me verify first so I can make sure that I'm in right standing. Yay, I am right. So the answer is actually Bethany. So if we go look up that verse, and like I said, this is how you would normally want to cross reference this from an educational standpoint. If I come up here and it says John 11:1, now a certain man was sick named Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. So again, that's how we can integrate the stuff and just show different ways of how you can integrate the stuff. So like I said, we're going to be teaching how to set this up and all this other stuff. So we're going to do questions like that, put these books of the Bible in order, guess the scripture based off of AI generated stuff. So we'll put in a verse and have it generate something and be like, so let's actually just use that one. So, and this is just kind of like a sneak peek of what I'm going to use ChatGPT to do this, even though normally I would not use ChatGPT for this exact example. So I would say make a thumbnail based on this scripture. So obviously y'all wouldn't see that, but that's how the stuff would be generated. So that's kind of rare of like Lazarus, and then you just talk about a city. Hopefully it doesn't put any text. Getting started. Let's see what it generates. But the idea is just how can you use this tech to do different things? Like, just think about it. Like, I've had other people that's taken this whole thing and they've integrated that kind of like in the movie theater. Like sometimes when you're watching movies and they have those pre-rolls, they'll have trivia questions. So before service is starting, you got that countdown, they pop up a trivia question. Or you could put up a question based on last week's sermon or anything like that. And I just think it's just an interesting way that you can have a teaching moment to where it's fun, but then now you can still teach off of that. And that's personally, I think that's a whole lot better than just having a lecture. So first off, I wouldn't go with this because it's already putting text on here because it's just saying exactly what that is. So that's why I didn't want to necessarily use ChatGPT for that. They are nowhere close to the image in generation and stuff like that. Let's see where we left off. Glad to be back from a long while. The past few months have been a handful, but all in is good. Thank you. Thank God for you, AJ, and for every one of us here. Hey, well, thank you. And I'm glad you're back. And, you know, I hope everything is well with what was going on with you. Michael, you can use Mix Effect to manage your ATEM a whole lot more. Yeah, I played around with that. I thought I had that on my phone or tablet. But I think I used that at one point in time. But thank you for that. So we got a bunch of people to say that. So awesome. Jerry suggesting try the Aura HDMI matrix switch for switching two sources to different outputs. Yeah, so I think that will work but I think he had one that was coming in. Now, the only issue that I had with Matrix, it's going to have that pause for that handshake. So it's not going to seamlessly transition. It's going to be a break before it changes. So it's like on your TV, if you go from HDMI 1 to HDMI 2, there's a little bit of lag where it's doing that handshake in between that. But, I mean, that could work as well, too. Let's see. We got some questions here. Those are the questions we just answered. JP Smith 73. What is the best way to live stream? OBS, or we already answered that. I would say OBS. I don't stream in ProPresenter. I wouldn't recommend that. Had way too many people where that stuff has been problematic. Because you got to think, it's going to be handled in scripture. Then it's also have to handle in camera feeds. If you're trying to do everything, unless you're just doing one camera, if you have multiple cameras, you're going to tax that thing to high heaven. Does your live streams remain on your channel so I can go back and watch them? Yes, they do. I'm in the middle of teaching my class, and they're always there. Everything is under my Q&A with AJ or Ask Me Anything About Media Ministry. So once this is done, it is available for you to watch, and I have not taken any of them down. You should be good to go. So I think that's about it. I think the last thing I saw people were answering were in the questions. And why is everybody blowing my phone up right now? All right, I see one more question that popped up here. Back to Derek. We run a Bible Bowl every year. What's the best way to run it and have a time like you're doing right now and a score? So for the score, I had an online web page that did score, and that's how I did that. So in Presenter, because that's how I did it. I didn't do it in Pro Presenter. In Presenter, I had a slide of a web page that linked to the score. So I would bring up the score after each round. So I'm tallying it up while people are answering questions, or I had somebody else tallying it up, and they would tally it up. And then at the end of the round, I would bring that slide up, which was a web page. And what was it? Because I had it as a link, as a bookmark. I think it was Keep the Score. No, because that one was charging. The one I was using was free. I think it's scorecount.com. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. What I used was this. You can come in here, add as many teams. You can design this here. So I'd come in here and say how many teams that you have. So we had 3 teams, and you can give the teams names if you wanted to. I didn't need a clock. I got rid of the timer. And hold on. Why is it acting up on me? Teams. I don't want a timer at all. You can have a buzzer that'll come in here. Oh, I was clicking on the wrong one. So I turn that off. I keep the score. I don't need possessions, fouls, timeouts, period, ranking. I guess I could keep that and say that's round. And then you can set the background color. I set it to green so I can do a chroma key, and I had this superimposed over top of it. And then there's my link. That's the link that I would put into my webpage. And that's how, when we clicked on it, that's the only thing that showed up. And you would see the teams here. So I would just calculate the teams offline. Where is it at? There was a control. Oh, I would just click on there to do the points on there. They used to have a button on there, but I would just click one. Every team had an answer that was right, and at the end, I would flash that up as a slide for that page, and I go to the next team. That's how I did that, to make it really easy. Because Pro Presenter Renewed Vision is charging an arm and a leg to add the scoreboard component to Presenter, and no, I'm not paying that much just for a one-time thing. And then the timer, I had the time embedded in the slides, or just like with your countdown timer, you can put it in the lower right-hand corner. And you can use the reference that I have, timers that I have online, that it's a web page. You chroma key that, put it in there, and it will play the same way. But we're going to go over all of that stuff as well, too, at the conference, because that's what I'm teaching, how to set it up, and then we actually run it after lunch. Is it normal for our 2 PTZ optic cameras to use a lot of bandwidth? With cameras off, it's like 50 down, and with cameras on, we get 200 down. Our upload is fine, so it doesn't affect streaming. Just wondering, how are you sending? So are you using, you're sending the video feed over the network, or you using NDI? How do you have that? Because, it shouldn't be using that much, unless you're not using that and you just have the online streaming stuff over the network on. And that's what would be doing that. So like if you're using SDI or HDMI, yeah, it might be sending data, but it's not really doing anything. So like, for example, if I look at my cameras, I'm not using NDI for any of them. But if I look at the traffic for them, so like I'll look at the FOMACO that I have up right now. So from a traffic standpoint, let's actually turn that column on. Usage. So for me, I'm not even using a full megabyte from there. If I look at the other one, that's my BZB gear, the one that's behind me. That's not using anything. The PTZ optics. That one isn't using anything. The AVCAMs is not even registered at anything at all. So yeah, it makes it seem like either some data or something like that is on that's being used. I mean, if you're not using it, that will probably be the cause of it. If you're using it, that is the cause of it. But that still doesn't make sense, though. Bass Chapel Sermon Archive. The pulpit in my church is between two windows, and the wall between the pastor is white. Is there any way to compensate for the backlighting? Pulpit is between two windows. Honestly, the easiest thing is to put like a film over top of them, but some people might say that that's desecrating the sanctity of the congregation of the church. Don't say that's silly. I've had more than enough people say something similar to me about that. The two windows and the wall between the pastor is white. Is there any way to compensate for the backlighting? That would be the only thing I would think of. I mean, thankfully, I have not had to be in a position to counter that, so I'm not really 100% sure. I would probably turn that over to the community to see if anybody's dealing with something like that. Anytime I've had windows in the issues, we've put some type of film or covering to block that to make it easier, or did something. Or I've had some churches do an extreme. They painted the back wall black so they don't have that issue, but I know some people don't want to do that. So I'm not 100% sure. I would hand that over to the community to see how they feel about that one, what their thoughts are on that one. Back to Samuel. At the church, we use a soundboard and we have some bad audio. We can't hear our singers, but our room isn't acoustically treated. Any recommendations? Well, I mean, that could be a whole lot of other things. You said you use a soundboard, but are all the singers using mics? And also, we can't hear our singers. Like singers just on the live stream or inside the sanctuary. Need a little bit more information to help with that. Michael, I was actually using it too. I actually stopped using it just because I don't make a lot of content in that format. I think it's a good tool. I really do. And I played around with it about 3 months to try and force myself to use it. But I mean, it makes more sense for a church standpoint to do summaries of services. And that's what I was playing around with it. For me, I don't make content like that. So for me, I need to find or change or make new content. Like I see a bunch of people like on, I don't really do TikTok like that, but I see a lot of people posting media ministry content that I'm in complete disagreement with, that makes me want to put some content out there because they putting some stupid stuff out there in my personal opinion. And I want to do that, but I'm more of a long form type of content. So I got to shift my paradigm, my mindset on making content that's just so short within that time frame, vertical. Because most of the stuff, when I do stuff like this, it doesn't show everything that I need. But anyway, I'm going off tangent. Yes, I think Opus Clips is great. Just for right now, the type of stuff I'm doing for my stuff on YouTube, it doesn't fit my needs. But for churches, if you're trying to let it be automated and let AI help you and do stuff for like your sermons and stuff like that, I think it's great. Hey, well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Now that Facebook is deleting our live stream, should we worry YouTube might be doing the same? I would prepare. That's why I did the video about the NAS stuff. I would really, really, really prepare. Now, mini rant type of moment. Now, again, I know I'm not the center of the universe, and I'm not the end all, the be all when it comes to media ministry stuff. But I've had so many churches that have been calling me saying, AJ, we're having a problem with Facebook. We can't live stream. I'm like, I helped you 4 years ago and asked you to be a part of the Facebook group, and you didn't. And this is the stuff we communicate. Because it's hard for one person to be an island unto themselves and know everything that's going on out there. So I'm announcing it again. What I've seen, and somebody in the group helped me with this, Facebook, people have been having issues globally streaming with Facebook. And I think from a background from IT and software, somebody fat-fingered something, or they're doing it intentionally. What somebody brought to my attention in Facebook, if you have use persistent key on, that has been causing people issues. If people go in and get a brand new streaming key every time they stream to Facebook, they have not had an issue. So, like when I use Vimeo that connects to Facebook and it talks directly to the application program interface, the API, to actually make the stream, that has not been working either. So that makes me feel that it's a fat finger thing. If you manually turn that off, put a brand new key, that seems to work. So that's why I try to teach the folks at the churches that I'm working at, don't just rely on this stuff being automated. Learn how to manually start a live stream, how to manually get a streaming key, how to manually set the URL, how to manually kick it off. Because if these things go down, which Facebook is doing, the churches who are having the problems are the ones that solely rely on it being a turnkey solution. But in these scenarios that are outside of our control, you need to learn how to do it when the turnkey don't work. So if you're having an issue with Facebook, turn off persistent key, get a brand new key every time you live stream. And last time that I heard, that is what's been solving the issue. Personally, because they're deleting. Now, this is my mindset. Because for people to watch on Facebook, they have to have an account. They have to follow you. They're either going to watch on their phone, their tablet, or their computer. And a lot of the older generation that can't get out, they're home stricken. That's a lot to ask them to do. So I'm recommending people go to YouTube because you can't buy a stupid TV anymore. Every TV is smart, and it has the YouTube app. It is way easier for somebody to press well, this one don't have it, but to go to the app store or the apps, launch that on your TV, press YouTube, go there, and if you've already subscribed, it just shows up for you. That's way easier for other people, and you're going to reach way more people. That's just personally. And YouTube was built for this. Facebook added it after the fact. And again, I think they're deleting it because people are just posting so much stupid stuff. And I need to stop saying stupid stuff that just makes sense. Like I have people that just like, oh, I'm going to post a picture of me rolling up the sleeve of my shirt. Okay, yeah, that's cool for you, but that's taking up hard drive space. And it's probably making so much stuff. Let me see where that link is. I used to do this in a presentation. Let's see. It used to be like a website called Every Second, but it looks like their interface is not working. And it used to be, it would show how much stuff is being used every second on YouTube, Twitter, X or what. It just showed all this other stuff. And YouTube used to be posted, and this was like 5 years ago. YouTube used to have 77,000 videos uploaded every second. Do you know how much hard drive space that's going to take up? So I know I'm dragging this out. My thing is why I suggested a NAS and all this other stuff is if Facebook can do this, sooner or later, somebody else is going to do it. Twitch actually already gets rid of your stuff after a certain period of time. I could see something like that happening. So that's why I suggested in that video to get a NAS so that you're backing your stuff up and you can start uploading that stuff to your own website and things like that. So that's personally what I think. Back to G-Man. When monitoring our live stream by headset, we are getting voice out of one side. Mixer to the ATEM to the computer is the setup. You're getting it off of one side. So I would check how stuff is being sent. So that's why most of the time, y'all probably heard that. I send my stuff off of 2 channels, so I know specifically that output number 1 and output number 2 is sending nothing but the left channel and the right channel, so I'm guaranteed to get stereo out. Look inside the ATEM in your audio meters. So like if I bring mine up so that y'all can see, in here, if I come in here, you see I'm actually sending audio on both channels. If you see here and it's only on one side, that means either the cable's not pushed in all the way. Make sure the cable has two that you have plugged into the ATEM has two bands on it. That's your left and right. If you had a third band, that's your microphone. You don't need that. But make sure the cable that's plugged in, the 3.5 millimeter connection that's going into your ATEM has two bands. But if it does have that and you see only one side, then that means that your mixer is only sending one channel. Either it's loose or it's not routed or it's only sending a mono. Now, if you want to fix that, you could just take similar cable like this and then get a Y converter, and it will go from a single to dual, and it will send the same feed to both sides, and that would give you left and right. But that's what it sounds like. If you come to your ATEM and you see only one feed coming, one side coming in, one channel coming in, then that's coming back from your mixer. Most likely your mixer is only sending a mono feed. And either the easy way is just put a Y adapter on there that will split that mono and send it on both channels. So now left and right will be the same. Or just make sure that your cable has two bands so it actually is sending, the ATEM can actually even receive both channels. Back to Samuel. The setup is this for a front of house speaker on our subwoofer that points to the crowd, a monitor that points to the four singers, a monitor that points to the keyboardist, and there. And you said you can't hear the singers. That's strange. I mean, I would assume that your main mix that y'all are hearing, when I say y'all, the congregation, or for the live stream, that would be your board. So you should be hearing that, unless that's a separate mix and somebody got it mixed up. It could be that the mix from what the choir is singing is not routed to those speakers. But again, I don't know the setup and the configuration on your board. That's what the first thing I would think. And I don't know why my video is flickering. And it could just be my screen. It could be not y'all at all. Philip Paul, hello. What do you think about the new Formaco video switcher? I haven't seen it specifically, but I have a feeling I may have seen it, because a lot of the companies don't make anything themselves. This video switcher actually looks exactly like one that another company made. If this is the one that you're talking about. Yeah, like that shell, I think it's a little bit different, but let me see. Now let's see what that looked like. Got a handle, got two buttons, got a knob there to the bottom right, a knob to the bottom left, 6 buttons to the left, and then a knob in the upper left. That almost looks like that. Instead of the buttons being rounded, and it has more buttons at the bottom. Looks kind of the same. So I think a lot of it, the software is the same. They may change the integrations. The main functionality is about the same. But I need to see what the price is. But I mean, I'm not knocking any of the stuff. I think it's the fact that they're getting these more and they can do more than the ATEM itself. Like a lot of these can stream to multiple platforms compared to the ATEM still can only stream to one. I think it's good. Let me see. Let me see how much that's going for. That's going for $529, and if I ordered one, I could get it same day. Too bad I actually had to buy a bunch of stuff for an install. Does not support 4K, so it's going for $529. That's what it's going for. So interesting, but I mean, I need to play around with it and see what it is. Back to Samuel. What network switch would you recommend for the PTZ Optics Move SE? Well, that's what I have right now. That's what is That camera right there, that is the Move SE. And I'm using my go-to switch, because it just does the stuff and it works very, 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 very good, is the Gigabyte version of the BV Tech. That's what I have right there that's running my stuff. That is running my cameras. That PoE switch is about $49.99. And that's what all of my cameras are connected to. So when I turn my cameras off, all of that goes to all of that. The BZB gear back there, and I'm reaching over my mic to try and control this. The AV cams right there. That for Mako, that one, for whatever reason, mine doesn't respond to PoE. So I had to plug that one in, but that's connected. My joystick that I'm using is going to that as well too. And that one. Why is my stuff flickering? It might be my cable that's doing that, because I'm not seeing it on the feed. Are y'all seeing my video flickering? It might just be my screen that I'm seeing. But that BV Tech PoE switch. Actually, I got it in my shopping cart because I have to do an install for a church pretty soon. So I'm ordering their stuff. But in that scenario, this is the one. And as you can see, I've ordered that a bunch of times. That's this one. The one that's rack mountable, that's this one. The one that I have, like I said, $49.99. And then I get the ears so I can put it in a rack, and the ears are like $9.99. That's the one that I use personally, and that's what I normally install. So back to Samuel saying that y'all can't hear him in the sanctuary. That sounds like a routing issue. What board are you using? And has it always been like that? It could just be a routing that's causing that issue. Philip Paul, have you used a wireless USB transmitter and receiver? I have a handy cam with a USB output as a webcam. No, I have not ever used one of those. Lace Dad, we have not had issues with Facebook streaming, but we don't use persistent key. Yeah, and they changed something. But every time I've noticed when people changed it from persistent key, which was always a good thing because you don't have to change the key, they haven't had issues since then, which is strange. Then we use Restream, which works 100% so far. At times, the status shows sending instead of streaming, but the stream still works. Yeah, I've had people with Restream that's had an issue. This was right before February 19th, where people were having some issues because I had Vimeo, people going directly with it, StreamYard, Restream. It wasn't, at first I thought it was just one thing, but I had people that were using hardware encoders, software encoders, all of them were saying an issue. So if you haven't had an issue, that's great. I've just had way too many people who have it, and I just saw, and it is flickering. What is going on? Hold on a second. My camera is flickering. I don't know what's going on with this stuff. I'm using OBS. I need something that can turn anything transparent. I'm also using Easy Worship, and I need my lower third to be 2-line fittings the entire song with my live camera. Well, I mean, the last part of what you're doing, that's a setting that you need to set up a theme to do that in Easy Worship. And I covered a video a long time ago that talks about how to do that, how to just overlay your stuff, whether in OBS, especially how to do that in OBS with Easy Worship, because that's how I had them do that and figure that out when I was at Antioch. That's what we did originally. But when you said I have no idea why my stuff is flickering like that. I need something that can turn anything transparent. What do you mean by turning anything transparent? I don't know exactly what that means. Harvard saying you got it right, AJ. It's stupid stuff on Facebook. Yeah. Thank you. Could you please please link here the video about the storage? Give me a second, and I will tell you what I can. I think it was like why your church needs a NAS. Yeah. I will put the link in the description, and I'm going to do about 3 more, and then we're going to be rolling out for today. All right, so I just put that there. For the first time analog to digital migration, which mixer would you recommend between the XR18 and the CQ18T, considering the price difference? Honestly, because I haven't used the CQ18T and I'm actually using the XR18, I would use that. Because I don't recommend anything I've never touched. So, I mean, and all I would be doing is looking at it, and I'm not going to recommend it. And I have no idea why my camera is going spazzing out on me right now. So maybe that's telling me I need to hurry up and shut this down. Yeah, let me go ahead and shut this down right now because I have no idea what's going on, and now I got to go into tech support mode for my own stuff. But Elder Rob, thanks for jumping on. And the last one I'm gonna do, K Graham. I have not looked into it. I remember when they were talking about it. I haven't played around with any of the stuff. I signed up for their beta, but I never heard anything back. It sounds promising, but I need to get my hands on it, and play around with it, and see what's going on, and also figure out what in the world is going on with my stuff here. But again, folks, thank you so much for being here. I want to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Thank you so much. If you like what we do here, folks, about what we do to try and help train and modernize and educate people about media ministry, you can become a patron by going to patreon.com/AJaytheCEO. Get started for as low as $1 a month, or you can click the join button down below to become a YouTube member. No matter which way you pick, folks, you're helping us train media ministries all over the world. I could not do this without them. And thank you so much for y'all's continued support. Some people have been here with me in contributing and helping out for like 3+ years. And I am beyond thankful for that. Very, very, very much appreciative of all that awesome stuff. And I think that is about it, folks. Like I said, thank y'all again for the questions and the comments. And I try to be as transparent as possible, but then I try to not do some stuff that would make me internet infamous, if y'all know what I mean. Like lock the doors, ushers lock the doors. Not trying to do no stuff like that. That would let that be my legacy online. But when I say that I understand what y'all are talking about, I'm not just saying that. Like the same stuff that y'all deal with through the week, I deal with the same stuff, if not more, unfortunately. Sometimes just because I'm dealing with so many different churches. Take some time to lean into the community. I'm not just saying that to try and grow my Facebook page. I don't care about that. Lean into the community because you don't know how reassuring it is to be around people that get you, get what you're doing, get what your mindset is. That is refreshing. At least for me, for almost 6 days, if not 7 days out of every week, I am fighting with people to try and help them. And they think everything that I'm doing is trying to destroy something, only for them to come back 4 or 5 years later. Man, you know what, AJ, you were right. I'm like, not that I'm always right. I'm like, I'm just trying to help you. I've had people say, oh, you only do this YouTube stuff because it's an ulterior motive. I'm like, I gave up everything because this is what God told me to do, and I'm doing it for ulterior motive. I'm like, but then that's the stupidest ulterior motive I could have ever made up if that was it. I do it because that was what I was called to do in this season. And even when I don't want to do it, I do it because my mandate has not changed. So again, lean into the community. I've had so many people that I've met through here that have stuck closer to me than a brother. And I just really appreciate that. And that's what this community is for, not just to answer your tech questions, but when you're out there trying to do a paradigm shift with churches that still think that you have to come inside the building, they're not trying to do missionary work, they're not trying to go to the highways and hedges and share the message, and they're so stuck in that, it can be hard. It's like you go out and try and get in the water and try and push the icon of the seas, the biggest cruise ship in the world. You one person trying to move that thing, it's a daunting task. And that's kind of like what some of us have to do. So hopefully I give some type of reprieve, some type of peace, some type of encouragement what you're doing. And that's why I want to have these ministries network. There's people that are in media ministries that are around the corner from you, a state over from you, a city over from you, a country over from you, that need to hear your story and your encouragement, because you just don't know that there's so many people that are dealing with the stuff that you're doing. So that's, I try to do for y'all what I want to be done for me. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But anyway, y'all stay encouraged. I appreciate all the stuff that y'all are doing, all the hard work you're doing, all the money that you're spending that you don't have, that you're spending to make everything better, the time, the long sleepless nights. Thank you for what you're doing, because it takes a special person to do that, and that special person is you. So thank you for what you're doing. I hope you have a great day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are, and we'll be seeing y'all in the next video, folks. Later.